Maths is a very rich and diverse subject that develops problem solving in students. A lot of people lack confidence in maths, and that's why I made this video. Successful students see the point in learning maths, they believe they can learn maths, they benefit from doing the homework, they have a lot of experience of maths outside the classroom, and they have all the equipment they need. I want to start with a quick word about times tables. On the left is somebody who knows the times tables. They just need to remember to put in their 0 when the times in by 20 and to add in those carried numbers at the end. On the right, we've got someone who doesn't know the times tables and constantly having to stop and calculate those. Now, knowing your times tables does make maths easier because you're having to keep less in your brain all the time. However, not knowing them doesn't mean that you're bad at maths, it just means that you're bad at rote learning. There are lots of times tables games available free online. Here are a couple that I like. If you're looking for something away from the screen, anything where you're having two numbers and multiplying them together will really help. Maybe get a dice set, even if you're just using two six-sided dice, roll them both, multiply them together and check on a calculator. I'll chat about calculators later, but getting into the habit of using them really helps. I get asked about homework a lot. I set homework either revising something we've learned in the past or more practice at something we're currently learning in class. The methods the students use are very important, so I'll either send them home with their exercise book or there'll be a video on the homework app that we're using that I'll be asking them to watch. For example, supposing we're solving equations, I encourage my Year 7s to solve an equation using the balance method. So we've got add 4 and take 4, so we end up with b equals 7. The reason I want them to use this method is because in the future they're going to be solving much more complicated equations like this, and if they're confident with the balance method, it will be much easier. I also want them to show the working, use a pen and paper. This helps them practice and remember the methods. It helps them check for mistakes as well. If after watching the video or looking in the book a student is still stuck, they can contact me for help, and I go through how to do that in class. It's great if they do this by themselves, as it's a step to their independence. However, as a parent or carer, if you have any concerns, then don't hesitate to send me an email. I set 30 minutes of homework for my Year 7s, a little more for the older years. I really like them to stick to this time. I don't want them to be giving up after 5 minutes, and neither do I want them to spend hours on it and then arrive at school the next day already fed up of maths. And please try to be as positive as possible when they've got some maths homework. If you treat it like a dreaded chore, then it's going to impact on how they view their maths. Maths outside the classroom. I gave my students the task of working out how much some petrol cost. Some people got £4,712 and some people got £47.12. Now we know which the right answer is, but when I had a discussion, somebody said that their mum said petrol cost a fortune. They also said you don't fill up that much, probably because they weren't in the car at the time. And somebody else said, well, it's 112 a litre. All sensible observations pointing to the wrong answer. However, one person, their granddad always tried to get it on £30 or £50, so he knew absolutely the right amount. So it's really good if students do roughly know the cost of things. As well as knowing the prices of things, knowing height, mass, capacity really helps. If they know what a kilogram feels like, they know what a litre looks like. Also, on the back of food labels, there's loads of interesting facts and figures, from cooking times to microwave powers to the ingredients and the percentage of nutrition, all good stuff. Best Buys pop up quite frequently. Whenever I teach this one, I'm always asked about VAT. Of course, I'm happy to explain it, but quite a few students are unaware of things like how we pay taxes, what taxes go to. Recently, a class were asking me about electricity and how electricity gets paid for, and when I explained that I paid it online, they were very suspicious and were concerned that I'd be falling for a scam and things. So I think these days, especially because less and less of us get actual bills through the post, students are less aware of how things like this get paid. Here is another Best Buy that sometimes students struggle with. George wants to buy 10 cartridges. Now the 3-pack costs £24.30, so in this 3-pack it would be £8.10 for one cartridge. A surprising number of students then say, well, he could buy 10 of those and it would come to £81. Not quite thinking through that the shopkeeper wouldn't open up and give him 3 packs and 1 extra cartridge. When I started teaching, students all knew how to read an analog clock but weren't too sure with a digital clock and 24-hour time. These days it's the other way around. It's good if students can read all different types of clocks, as well as be able to calculate the passing of time, such as what time would it be an hour and a quarter in the future or an hour and a quarter in the past. Whether they're doing math in class or homework or say looking at Best Buy in a supermarket, students are always going to make mistakes. This is how I encourage them to make mistakes in the classroom. I encourage them to have a look at the mistake, and if they know why they've gone wrong, to write a note to themselves and write the correct answer. If they don't know why they've gone wrong, that's where I come in. Some students are so terrified of getting a cross on their work that they'd rather do nothing, and I work with these students to make sure that they build some resilience to making mistakes and seeing them as learning opportunities. All students will need a calculator and a scientific calculator. They can't use their phones in class for obvious reasons. Some students view a calculator as cheating, whereas it's great for checking, and also there's some things that you simply can't do without a calculator. When buying a calculator, it's important to look for a natural display. This is when the calculation on the calculator screen looks exactly like it does on paper. This just makes it a lot easier when students are using their calculators. It's really important that you see the point of maths so that they see the point in learning maths. I want to start by looking at the beginning with a toy like this. When you watch a toddler play with a toy like this, you can really see them develop. And this is exactly the same for me in my classroom. On the right here is a puzzle where we've got a 1x1 square split into 4 equal parts and we have to find x. They're never going to do that in real life, but the resilience and the problem thinking skills they're going to develop by doing these kind of questions is really going to help them throughout their lives. Often at parents' evening, I hear, I'm just not a maths person, or even worse, my child is not a maths person. And this myth that there are maths people and there are not maths people is quite damaging. In my experience as a teacher, there are simply just people and everybody is capable of learning. It's true, some students really love their maths, they do loads, they give it their all, and they end up excelling. We can't be intimidated by these people. In every walk of life, there are people that excel and do really well. There are also some students who find learning difficult, and they might need a bit of help from me or one of our wonderful TAs, but everybody can learn maths. They do make progress. So the best thing you can do to help your child is to have a really good attitude towards maths, believe that you and they can do maths, continue and discuss real life maths, support those good homework habits, help them be resilient and ensure they are equipped. Thank you very much for listening.